Beth. Hello, Divine. So your question was, how do I make my intuition bigger? Basically, how do I enhance my intuition, right? And the first thing I did, not for me, because I like to make up shit on my own, right? As far as definitions and stuff, but I still like to sometimes reference the definition just in Google or something, or a dictionary, just to maybe, like, I don't know, vibe off of it and see if I agree with it or not, right? So I did that with the definition of, what was it? The definition of intuition. And you know what? I'm a skeptical person, so of course I disagree with their definition, but I'm still gonna share it. I agree with some parts, okay? But anyway, sorry, just balancing my teacup in the grass. Not the easiest thing to do. Intuition. The ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. Okay? And I would... I'm gonna read it one more time. The ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning, right? So intuition for me, yeah, it's about trust, right? It's about trusting yourself, and to enhance trusting yourself and your gut reactions, right? It would be deprogramming yourself from all the things that prevent you from being able to do so. And there's a lot. We don't really notice that, right? We live in a society that capitalizes off of their concept of logic. And I'm not talking about logic like true logic. I'm talking about logic like the logic they'll give you. Okay? Because in our world, in our spiritual world, right? Which is a reality that coexists with the other. So I will put that there as a disclaimer. I'm humble to the fact that that's what's going on. That's fine. We see where that's going. But anyway, logic for us would be like, okay, so we had people back then, ancient Kemet, other places, tell us that this was going on. They already told us about astrology and everything, and it works, you know? So, and then astronomy would be like the very mathematical way to go about it, right? And then like certain other sciences that they have, like psychology, would be just the very non-mystical, non-spiritual version of what's happening, right? Sometimes, because sometimes it's way off, but sometimes it's like, yeah, that's right, and we have a concept for that, right? It's very, I guess in better words, it's very, hey love, very separate. They separate everything. I was like, they separate everything? That doesn't sound right. Anyway, yeah, that's what they do. And which kind of blocks the flow of our consciousness at times, right? Because they're making fragmenting it into different disciplines when really it all works together, right? There's scientific reasons for spiritual things already, right? They know about auras, they know about everything being light waves are energy, right? The hotter something is, the higher the vibration. They know about all that. Different like frequencies of colors, different frequencies of voices, right? Music. There's reasons for everything, right? But it's in such different little boxes that we start to box things, and then we start to box what I would call our intuition, right? Which is just that knowing most of the time, and then it presents differently for everyone. I mean, I would look up a lot of things, and I'll go through them. I would look up the clairs, right? That are basically the different psychic aspects people have. Do I know them all by heart? Hell no. So look that up. But yeah, because my brain's like just a processor. It's in and it's out sometimes. Anyway, but we're working on that. It's random. Sorry, I've been fasting with matcha tea, so I've got like a lot of energy right now, and been heightened awareness. So cool. Anyway, so yeah, clairs. And what else will help? Because that's just knowing how it would appear to you. And then whatever your medium is, right? Because there's some people who will just channel and just talk right off the bat and it'll flow through them like that. Some people, and this goes along with the clairs too for the most part, there's some people who write it all out, right? Who are just really good writers, who are really good readers, who are able to find the spiritual meaning but in the text, right? And draw lines and connections that maybe nobody had ever thought of before, right? So that we can, because you realize with a lot of the science, a lot of shit that they've made seem that like wasn't what it was, we're gonna have to redo. Especially if we want to go forward in sort of a spiritual aspect of things, right? And you know what? It would have had they had not rejected first peoples that were spiritual, right? And that's what really threw things off track. Anyway, yeah. So are you someone that likes to write things out and channel that way, right? Could you go into a dream, wake up, write it out? Okay. Could you clear your mind by either sound, like because you want to get your mind into a place, train your mind to be silent and still. And that can be hard because there's so many subconscious programs that we've been taught to have that keep running, whether it's like, oh, time which doesn't really exist the way they say it does, right? But that concept of time, like, oh, am I late for this? I'm late for this. Kind of aging yourself, really. I mean, I just watched a video on that by, what was it? Masterly Foolish Genesis. They had a video on that. And if you want the link for that, let me know. But they were kind of talking about how time in and of itself, thinking about it all the time, kind of ages you, right? So anyway, the best ways to enhance your intuition are by being able to clear your mind and knowing when it's you, a gut feeling, and then knowing when it's kind of ego and programming, right? Because I've noticed more and more that ego is some programming. It's a part of us, yeah, but then it's also the fact that they taught us to have ego and that we have it, right? They did that in psychology, with like Freud and that concept. Don't get me on a rant about Freud because shit, I have plenty to say about that, but anyway. Whereas there are some other cultures that like fragmented. Being it fragmented in and of itself isn't a bad thing because that's just like kind of polarity, like light and dark, which do exist, and high and low, which do exist, right? Whether we're okay with that or not, right? Justice is balance, which is balancing out the scales of high and low most of the time, okay? And then having that there are times and places in life right now. Yeah. Indeed. Where was I at with that? Wow. It just looks so beautiful out here, too. So, yeah, clearing your mind of the subconscious programming or even the conscious programming, and a good way to do that is shadow work, and that's been a big thing lately. I think all the retrograde planets help with that too, though, because those are like going back in past and like just really collecting everything that's happened. The professional high priestess talks about that a lot. I will always shout her out because I love her channel. But anyway, yeah, and yeah, because there's the shadow work. When you get into the shadow work, you start to realize reasons why you do things that you hadn't thought about in like 10 years, maybe less. Right? So that's good to do. Teas, herbs, crystals, those can all enhance your vibration, right? Fasting can help a lot too, because fasting, when you're in a fasting state, you start to realize exactly where the program is and where you really are, right? Because we're just spiritual beings having a human experience, and sometimes this vessel takes on, we have a brain, right? Vessel takes on a lot of programming, which the point of all this though is just to say you can reprogram yourself, right? Reprogramming yourself for you, reprogramming yourself to enhance your spiritual abilities, and by affirming yourself too, by affirmations, right? Because the world is giving you a lot of affirmations. They say be logical. They say you are only supposed to learn and perfect one thing in the form of a degree, right? Sit this way in class, do this, live in boxes, live in, literally, like, houses are like the shape of a square, right? And if you know, look into some sacred geometry, and I'm sure the square has its own significance too, but for me it doesn't seem like a very open, homey type of space, really. So it's just being aware of the programs around you, of the so-called matrix, as a lot of people call it, and then reprogramming it for yourself, and then finding what it is that you channel, per se, right? Because we're all just bringing down energies from the cosmos. I mean, we're so intentional. Our presence is supposed to be here, and it brings something a little different. So whether that's helping somebody, being a helper, helping someone spiritually, whether that's just helping children, which is helping children spiritually, everything has its spiritual significance. Whether it's building, drawing. What is your kind of meditative, intuitive state, right? Can you draw it out? Like, I'm gonna keep saying that. Draw it out, write it out, you talk it out, dream it out, just be it out by just like literally letting yourself be in nature for a little while, and just thinking about, just keeping track of your thoughts, so really be brave and just trace your thoughts and see where they're leading you, what they want to explore, even if it's good or bad, because there's polarities inside of us, and we can transmute those negative thoughts into positive thoughts, but we can't do it until we realize that it is negative or positive, until we realize that it is okay that we had those things, because we can change them. And it's not inherently good or bad, it's just unbalanced or balanced, right? Definitely. Also, signs, zodiac signs. That's how I'll wrap it up. Zodiac signs. Zodiac signs will kind of tell you, as far as all the placements. Okay, that's too much. I'll give you a few. Let's just do basic sun, moon, and rising. Sun would tell you the intuitive way of your personality, right? And my sun's Pisces. I'm a dreamer, and my name on here is astronaut, goddess, or warrior, either one, because I use those interchangeably sometimes on social media, but I think it's warrior. Yeah, anyway, but and that is really in line with my personality, because I be in these astral planes and dreaming. And then what else? Oh, moon. My moon's in Capricorn. Logic, learning, patriarchal systems. Yep, I can read that very well and intuitively. So, going into the creations of the patriarchal system, the text, I ran with that kind of energy. Authoritative figures, being able to see them for who they are. Rising, Scorpio. And the rising is like your appearance and presence and kind of integrated personality. I feel like rising is more accurate than sun as far as like the personality of a person sometimes. So what the world sees of you. Depth. So going in deep to things and trying to unearth things, right? So, which is something I do, and all those things work together, right? So think of your sun, moon, and rising as a starter. Think of your sun, moon, and rising as a starter. Think of your diet. Are you eating enough things that are alive? Enough greens? Because mind, body, spirit, right? Gotta nurture all of them so that you can bring yourself back to a state of nature, to be able to do what you were always meant to do, and go off your intuition, right? Because I've noticed it's not much of how much to do, it's how much undoing we have to do. Okay? Thank you, Divine.